Welcome to EL117 Literary Criticism. Good day, Mom. I'm Neil Corpus, and I'm here to comprehensively present my literary paper. Prior to my technical criticism, to the literary selection, Women, Hollering Creek by Sandra Cisneros, centered to new criticism in part of my text-dependent interpretation. Well, without further ado, let me present to you, Mom, my literary paper. My introduction. Literary criticism is the comparison, analysis, interpretation, and/or evaluation of works of literature. Literary criticism is essentially an opinion supported by evidence relating to theme, style, setting, or historical or political context. Meanwhile, F.R. Leavis, a famous British critic, believed that literature should be closely related to criticism of life, and that is therefore a literary critic's duty to assess works according to the author's and society's moral position. Moreover, I can say that literary criticism is a matter of scrutinizing specific literary piece that anchored in the structure and knowing its complexity and richness beyond our assumptions or hypotheses about it. Is on addition my specific point or reason why literary criticism is significant is that it extrapolates the richness of literature in the form of arts by one person's imaginative mind flourish with unique ideas. It greatly helps our readers achieve better understanding and evaluation of literature that also emanates the realms of our lives. Conclusively, this literary criticism was anchored to the story of Women Hollering Creek by a Mexican author, Sandra Cisneros, integrating the school of criticism, the new criticism. Women Hollering Creek is a story that tells about the experiences and journey of a young woman named Cleophila who takes to escape her abusive husband that is physically and mentally abusive, far beyond how a telenovelas of great true love is shown that she always used to admire. My text-dependent interpretation. The orchid is a symbol that signifies beauty and strength, like Cleophila, holding on the branches of a mighty tree just to maintain the static vibe of an aerial plant that enhance and representing perfect environment that undoubtedly can survive beyond harsh situation, which directly associates her willingness to hold on, stay, and endure everything just to make up a perfect family as always presented to her favorite telenovelas. Cleophila herself is a symbol of an endearing woman who disintegrate or invalidate pain, keeping sorrow at her best that she can tightly hold. A true figure of resilience and patience, able to attempt vicious maltreatment from his abusive husband. Hollering Creek is a symbol that represents a projected pain and suffering of a woman whose attention and refuge beyond soreness of love is getting attention. Telenovela, a symbol of an adored and idolized core of life and love's representation used to acknowledge by the character and putting herself in a telenovela that depicts perfect love. Paradox. Cleophila contradicts her decisions in life beyond what herself was telling him what is right and what is not right for her. That give us contradicting points of how Cleophila's life works. Ambiguity. The text give us the ambiguous plot of life, how battered wife can tolerate domestic abuse and violence when we are capable of knowing what is right and what is wrong. Tension. The persona in the text is in a toxic relationship who is trapped in an abusive marriage, wherein crisis comes when one Pedro slaps her and she realizes what kind of man is her husband. So the tension is between the persona itself and its environment, specifically to her husband. Irony. Cleofela is obsessed with Spanish soap operas. She fantasizes about them and wants her life to be like that when she marries and moves to Texas with Juan Pedro, wherein she gets the opposite of that with her husband. Juan Pedro is an abusive and not a good husband. Pattern. The story manifests a dynamic pattern, making its themes the flows like how our real world works, in which a constant admiration of the main character about telenovelas. Unity. The persona is in an extreme awful situation of depression beyond domestic abuse and violence, where she gives it to herself and chose to bear the agony of how she was being maltreated by her cruel husband. Meanwhile, at last, Cleophela had finally realized her worth and chose to escape his husband for the peaceful and more happier life with new beginnings with his child away from vicious violence. My reader-dependent interpretation. This story, Women Hollering Creek by Sandra Cisneros, shows a general theme of interpretation that validates same views as mine with the reader's perspective, in which it is highly sensible that the role embarks on Cleophela as the main character of the story were full of martyrdom, in which, by far reading it, it is intended to ignite a fire of attention for us readers to sense and realize that sometimes shows, movies, or telenovelas can alter the way how we people would see or associate conflict and love that does not truly reflect how we can deal with the situations we've come to face in our real world. These shows or soap operas, as it easily presented picturing a cliche happy ending, are rarely happens in real life. That will slaps us to be awake when we are already facing adversities over the course of our lives in reality. My literary conclusions. Conclusively, through different symbols and unique characters manifested in the story, Women Hollering Creek used to call the attention of society to the prevailing condition of marriage and dependency of women. The story also shows how escape is possible, even in the midst of helplessness and complete chaos. It only takes a strong decision and the help of people willing to give you the hope you need to get out of any marital problems and despair you may be experiencing. All in all, Cleophilus reflects that the love between a woman and her husband can sour, but a woman's love for her child lasts forever. It's conceivable in the context of the story that Cleophilus would never have decided to leave her abusive husband if it's not because for the better future of her child.
That would be all, ma'am. Thank you for watching and God bless.